Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast. My name is Andrew Hasley, and I am the host of the show. Today we have on Melanie Hicks. So with InPursuit?
Yep.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about your business in a couple sentences maybe, or maybe
Sure.
a paragraph or so?
Sure. InPursuit is a firm that focuses on small to mid-sized businesses, nonprofits, and individual executives and entrepreneurs. We offer strategic planning, education advisory services, and one-on-one executive coaching.
Okay, sweet. Well, I can't wait to get into that more in this episode. I'm going to roll the intro music and then we'll get started.
All right.
This is a show where we have real conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners who are mostly in Colorado Springs doing things in the community of Colorado Springs. We're matching kind of, you know?
I know. I got the memo apparently.
Yeah. Sweet. So how's everything going?
Good. Really excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I just would like to let the audience know that we actually met in Sioux Falls.
That's right.
And that was the first and only time I've been there.
As was for me.
Yeah. So that was cool. That was for the Purpose Pioneers.
That's right.
Thought Leaders Summit.
Yep,
And yeah, so that was cool. And yeah, so how's everything been since then?
Good. So yeah, lots of things have changed since the Purpose Pioneers. I had a wonderful time being able to work on my message and really articulate my story at that event. And then since then, as of January 25th, actually, my business officially launched here in Colorado Springs. So
yeah,
InPursuit has actually been around since 2009. It started really organically as I was asked to go and be a consultant for nonprofits that wanted. I was working in politics at the time, and nonprofits needed some training for their volunteers on how to interact with the legislature, how to understand policy. And so I would do some of those like workshops and things. And so it just, not as a full-time organization, just as something that I did on the side for fun and networking, and just sort of stuck around, and it molded over time. I started doing strategic planning. I started working with a lot of entrepreneurs as a mentor, a business mentor, just different things over the years as I had another career going on. And in 2016, I decided I was going to go after it a little bit full time. And I did that for 2 years. And then I got kind of recruited to join a big a national corporate consulting firm. So I put that on hibernation mode, and now we're back. So happy to be back a little bit. I did a rebranding. I kind of got really clear about the type of services I really love. And now I get to do those things.
Sweet. Yeah. I was actually about to stop you for a second to fix the audio. I was like, what is that sound? But I think I caught it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's cool. So that corporate, working for the national corporation, was that exciting when you first got that news?
Yeah, it was really, it was a great 3 years of learning a lot about corporate America, learning a lot about, I had an absolutely fantastic team. I was recruited into the company to run their education division. And so I had a really phenomenal team of subject matter experts. We got to work with a lot of clients across the country, both school districts and colleges and universities, and do just like I said, a lot of really interesting, really meaningful projects over the years. But over time, my passion around kind of being in a more one-on-one and being more, as I progressed in the company, I was sort of taken off client work and was doing more of like the corporate structures, right? The things that you need to run a big company, right? So a lot of budgeting and financial analysis and planning, and I really missed that kind of face-to-face time with clients, or even virtual in this case, but just the really working with people and watching the impact happen. And so I decided to go back and revisit being a solopreneur for now, and hoping to grow and eventually have run a small firm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. And you're fairly new to Colorado Springs as well, right?
I am. Yes. I was born and raised in Florida. I lived in 7 different cities in Florida, and then met my husband in Tampa, but he had lived here for about 10 years before and wanted to move back. And so we picked up in 2019 and moved to Denver first while we were building a house here in Colorado Springs. And then we closed on our house in March, right before the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah. So we
Nice.
had a lot of time to be in our new house nesting, because there was
for
nothing
sure.
else to do for a while.
So you guys, it was a fresh build?
It was. Well, we bought it was a brand new house, but we bought it a spec house, which is like they've partially built it, but you're still getting it. Like when we first saw the house, it was a foundation and some wood sides.
But they had like models that showed you what the house is going to look like.
Right.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause for 1 second because your audio does sound a little bit reverby, and I want to fix it. And we'll just cut right here. Yeah. All right, sweet. So we're back.
We're back.
For them, we never left.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so sweet. So starting this business, how long have you officially? You said it started technically in 2009, but how long have you officially restarted it?
So the official launch date was January 25th. Although I had been working
this year,
2021, January 25th, 2021. Although I'd been working for probably around 6 months, kind of nights and weekends, trying to make sure that I was rebranding it properly. I taught myself a lot of things in the process because I was trying to kind of bootstrap it and do a lot of the. I really wanted to understand a lot of the technical things. So teaching myself a lot about graphic design and making collateral and about WordPress and making my own website. Canva was a godsend because I was doing it in a different program first. And it wasn't nearly as user-friendly.
What were you using?
Oh, gosh, what was it called? I've blocked it from my mind now because it was so not user-friendly.
Was it online thing? Like Canva?
Yeah, it was very similar to Canva, but not nearly as user-friendly. Okay. And not nearly the quality of kind of templates to start with.
So Canva's upgraded a lot over the years.
What I really like about Canva is they give you so many templates, but they're all customizable. So if I see something that's in like a pink and a brown and I want to bring it into my color scheme, but I liked the way it looks, it's really simple for me to
You can even move it around too.
Move stuff around, change the colors, but like still get the general feel. And I needed that starting place because starting from a blank slate for me in a graphic design way is like overwhelming. I don't have the eye. It's like when I lived in Tallahassee, Florida, I bought a house and gutted it and like redid everything because I can look at something and see the bones of it and move stuff around. But I couldn't just look at a piece of land and know what the house would look like without some templates. Somebody's got to show me some blueprints, right? And then I can say, I don't want this. I want this moved over here. I need the basics. So Canva really allows you to do that. It's a great asset for small business owners.
I think it 100% is. It's great.
Yeah. We are a walking advertisement for our favorite easy to use.
And I love Photoshop too. Photoshop's I've been doing that for over a decade now. Using Photoshop and really advancing it. And last year I took it to the next level and learned some of like the most cutting edge kind of techniques to use in that. And so I do love Photoshop, but I love Canva because Photoshop, you're building it from scratch. I mean, I'm sure you can download some templates, but they're scattered across the internet. Yeah. And Canva's just nice. It has it all in one spot.
Yeah, for sure.
So besides design and stuff, what else were you focusing on?
So I really, part of the unique thing about InPursuit is really helping people align their values with their vocation. So this is kind of our unique selling proposition. So I have a proprietary or a copyright method called the 3E method of change. And in that design, we kind of go through these 3 stages, and it can really be overlaid in a group setting, it's not just for people who want to change careers, but just if they just want to maybe be reconnected with their current job, or they're looking maybe for to change a little bit about their personal life, or, I try to mostly focus on vocation and career alignment because that's where we spend so many hours of our, living, breathing time. So I really spent a lot of time kind of researching and writing and looking at the work that I'd done. I'd been a coach as a kind of a pro bono thing for probably 15 years, but I hadn't ever looked at the progress and the methods that I had been using in a way that would be something that could be, sold to people. And so I spent a lot of time developing exactly the services that I wanted to offer that I felt like I was both good at and had experience doing and was really comfortable and happy doing. And then also developing this this framework, this 3E method of change framework that
3E?
3E.
That's the comedy club.
I know. I saw that. That was really amazing, actually.
Yeah, except his is his names, Eric and his 2 sons.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Mine stands for the 3. So the 3 E's are excavate your attic, eliminate your obligations, and embolden your resolve. And it's kind of these 3 steps that to kind of right size your life and really get in touch with your values and your purpose, and how that plays into your everyday existence.
What are the 3?
So excavate your attic, which is mainly looking backwards, kind of reminding yourself the things that you might have once dreamed about that you've put on the back burner, or things that brought you a lot of joy that maybe you've just gotten out of the habit. Maybe you used to read a lot and then...
Like pasta for you.
Right, like making pasta. That's exactly right. Making homemade pasta, something I never did actually. And I always said I was going to do, and finally I sat down and started doing it, right? And then the second is eliminate your obligations, because, sometimes unknowingly, we start to fill a backpack full of obligations that are really other people's words, things that your parents instilled in you, and things that your mentors told you, or your peers, or whatever. And some of those things you love and you cherish, and they're still meaningful to you, and you want to keep them. But other times they either were really never really suited for you. It was a hand-me-down dress that was always too big for you, or so, there's just things that we pick up along the way. For example, I grew up in a wonderfully supportive home, but they're very risk averse. My father was a police officer. My mom was a teacher. They had, 30 to 40-year careers in the same organization. So the idea of entrepreneurship to them is very scary.
So a different kind of risk, because being a police officer, that's kind of risky.
It is. But although we grew up in a fairly small town, so
okay.
I grew up in a small beach town.
So it was pretty chill
in Florida. So yeah, so that it wasn't, kind of NYPD or even, Denver PD or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, certainly there's a bit of physical risk there, but not a risk of whether or not the paycheck was going to show up, or whether or not your job would be there in 15 years or 20 years, right? And so this idea of entrepreneurship, or making your own way, and, going out and selling yourself or selling your products and growing something from scratch is just totally foreign. And I had to kind of learn, there were other things too, things from mentors about how you should do it or how you should market yourself. And at some point you have to get really clear on what of these things serves me and like resonates with me and is really true for me, and what of it was helpful and loving advice that someone gave me, but it really isn't true for me, and it's time for me to kind of let that go. And I think it's an important exercise for people to do, because we end up picking up. I have a friend, she's an author, her name is Jen Pasteloff. She wrote a book called On Being Human, and she talks about when she was a waitress that she carried around such a large backpack that the cook staff would often prank her by putting items in her backpack, because it was already so heavy that she wouldn't even notice that they put in a frying pan or a cantaloupe or something in her back, because she already was carrying around so much stuff that she really didn't need to go back and forth to her waitress job, but that they could, add more to it, and she didn't even notice. And I think this is a great illustration of kind of what we do with the things with the lessons that are taught to us, right? Sometimes we take them all in and we forget to let some of them go, or to go back through it and say, what if this is still useful to me? This might have been useful on Tuesday or 6 months ago, but it's really not useful to me today. So why am I still carrying it around? And so that's kind of an illustration.
And then you also have other people putting stuff in your backpack.
Right. People are always adding
behind
stuff
your
to you.
back.
That's right. Either as a prank or just, they hand it to you and you just put it in there because, you're polite or whatever, right?
Exactly.
For sure. And then after you kind of have done the work to look backwards and to look deeper inside you, then it's time to just get really brave about saying, this is who I am. And sometimes being who you are is a little bit incongruent with what other people, think that you should be, right? Like, there's a story in a book, Stephen Cope wrote a book called The Great Work of Your Life. And he talks about this pastor who, I'm going to get his name wrong. I think it was John, but I'm not really sure. But anyway, a pastor who was pushed to be the head pastor, right? That's the top job in a church, right? To be the head guy. And that seems like what you should want a talented, smart person to be. But in the end, it wasn't his calling. He really just wanted to be in music. And so he was never really happy being like Sunday mornings when a pastor should be most excited about giving, their message to their people. He was dreading it, right? And all he wanted to do was go be part of the music. And so eventually he kind of shed this obligation to say, I have to be this person. I want to be this person. And I don't care if society doesn't see that as the pinnacle of my career. For me, I'm the most happy. And he ended up turning into this amazing choral director. He went all over the world, like, as a choral director, bringing music to all kind of churches all over the world, where if he had been a pastor, he would have been a pastor in this one little church because it really wasn't his calling, right? And so I think that you have to get brave enough to say, you know what, even if what I want doesn't look like the path that somebody else would want, I am strong enough to say, it's the path for me and I need to follow it through, because in the end, that's where you'll find the greatest success and the greatest happiness. So, so that's the 3E method of change in a nutshell. And nice. It's a way of thinking about our lives and our careers, and it's good for groups. It's good for individuals. And it's really meaningful to me to be able to share that with people. For sure. Yeah. So what is becoming congruent? So becoming congruent is what I call the movement. So I'm writing a book called Incongruent. It's my trek through Nepal up to Everest Base Camp, but with a lot of reflections about different pieces of me figuring this journey out. So me figuring out those 3 steps for myself. So the things in my attic that I had sort of forgotten brought me a lot of joy, right? Or things in those lessons that I had started to carry in my backpack that I didn't need, I needed to shed. So along this path to Nepal, which I did in 2019. I guess those lessons are conditioning. Is another way to put it. That's right. It's exactly right. Mm-hmm. Because you need to be able to process them and digest them and then decide, right? You shouldn't push away those things automatically, because they could be very helpful to you, and you shouldn't absorb everything that is given to you, without giving it some thought about. So it's good to take it in, process it, and then decide what do I keep and what do I let go. And so, so the book Incongruent is my trek through Nepal, along with a lot of reflections on kind of looking back on how I figured out this path for myself and how I figured out what was really important to me. And so the Becoming Congruent movement is a kind of a group of people who care about trying to align their lives with their own values. So being a part of this movement just means I've given some thought to what really matters to me and the legacy I want to leave in life. And I'm trying, it's a journey, right? It's not a destination, it's a journey, but I'm working every day to align those values and those purpose with the decisions that I make in my career and in my life and whatever. And so, I have a podcast myself called the Becoming Congruent Podcast. It just kicked off. I only have 1 episode so far. Okay. I interviewed a wonderful colleague and friend of mine, John Dingler, who founded a nonprofit in Tampa that then grew to a social enterprise that now is growing to change a whole city. And it's I've known him for just under 5 years, and the progress that he's made, and he has a long way to go before it's his full vision. But those are the type of people in the Becoming Congruent movement. People who say, you know what, I'm going to do the hard stuff because it matters to me and to other people. Yeah. So did you climb Everest? So we trekked to base camp, which is 19,000 feet. So to climb Everest, you have to hire a professional. It's very, very expensive. It's also very dangerous, and you have to have professional equipment. And so you don't need to climb Everest to become congruent. You do not. You do not. You don't even have to trek to Everest Base Camp, which is quite hard. Trekking to Everest Base Camp. You said it's 19,000 feet. It's 19,000 feet. Which Pikes Peak, for reference, is 15,000 feet. 15,000 feet. That's right. The height. Yeah. And it's a 16-day trek to get to Everest Base Camp, because you climb up through 16. Oh wow. So you climb up through. You hike for anywhere between 5 and 10 hours a day, and you stop at there's little towns along the way. There's no cars. The only way to get to it is there's emergency helicopters, or there's yaks, or by foot. So people live in these towns on the camp, or on the way to the camp. They do. There's Nepalese families who live in the different towns, and there's not much there. I mean, do they have Netflix? They do not. They occasionally have Wi-Fi, but in one room, in one plywood shack in each city. But it does vary. There are a couple of little. There's difference. There's some very, very sparse accommodations, and then there are some where you have a little bit. Some one. I guess it was maybe 8 or 9 days in, we got to a little town, and it had not only multiple. They call them tea houses. Multiple tea houses where people stay, but they also had a bakery. A little bit, and it had coffee and French pastries. Nice. And it was literally someone who had studied in France and come back to the little town where they had grown up and opened a French bakery. So that was a nice surprise after days of trekking with no. There's it's not like there's showers or anything. You are not sleeping in a tent, which I will say is nice. It's a plywood shack. Okay. So you sleep in a sleeping bag, but it's there's some walls there.
And it's cold.
It's very, very cold. Yes. Yeah. It starts out very, very hot actually. And then it gets very, very cold as you go up.
That's interesting.
In altitude. Yeah. Not dissimilar to if you're hiking the Bar Trail, right? You can be at the bottom and be very, very warm and wearing a t-shirt and shorts. And by the time you get to, 12,000 feet or so, it starts to get pretty cold.
Yeah. Cause that's kind of like base camp for Pikes Peak.
That's right. Exactly.
Do you do the incline?
I have not yet.
But you've done Bar Trail though.
I've done Bar Trail.
Okay.
We did Bar Trail before the pandemic, and then we never did the incline. It was closed for a bit for some reason. They were repairing some ties or something.
On the incline?
On the incline.
Okay.
This was when we first moved here in 2019 when we moved to Denver. And again, it wasn't as close because we didn't live down here. We lived up there. And so, so we didn't do it. And then the pandemic hit, and it was very limited. Well, for a while it was closed completely, and then it was very limited. And we just, we haven't done it. And then it's been cold and a little icy, and I'm not that brave as it comes to slipping on ice. I've done it a few times so far.
Oh yeah, you're a Florida
girl, yeah. So slipping on ice is still a little bit. My husband laughs because he lived here, for about 10 years before he moved to Florida, where we met, and he watches me, and I kind of tiptoe on the ice, like trying. He's like, you could fall just as easily tiptoeing. I'm like, but I feel safer if I do.
For sure. Yeah. Slipping on ice is something that I'm good at.
I
mean, I'm good at not slipping on ice.
Oh yeah. Don't be good at slipping on it.
Yeah.
It's painful.
I did slip recently though, and it was at the top of the incline on this Sunday.
Oh really? Oh,
yeah, it's at the top though, where you weren't on the stairs.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Like even if you fell, like it's not like you're gonna fall all the way down to the bottom.
No. Something would stop you for sure. You get a few steps down and
It's weird how the momentum works too. It's like you just I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless you have wheels attached to you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. So I like the incline. I do enjoy it. It is a challenge for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah. So with this business, what challenges do you foresee coming that you'll have to overcome?
So I think the biggest thing for me is there's two things. I mean, one, growing any entrepreneurial endeavor, right, is about making sure that you are figuring out your audience and really reaching them. And I'm I like to test different ways to do marketing and different strategies on that. But it needs to feel super authentic to me. So I tried a few things when I first launched in January, and immediately I felt, this doesn't feel like me. And I really want the business to represent me and be authentic to who I am. And so I quickly had to kind of, change course and let's do something different. And it's been a little bit challenging with COVID because I'm a face-to-face marketer. Like I like to just meet people and get to know them and build trust. And I don't, the way that the business works, I don't need of course I want to grow, but I don't need to have, 1 million clients. I need to have a small group of really dedicated clients, right?
You need to go deep, not wide.
Right, exactly. And so that has been more challenging. I'm in a new city. I had a really robust network in Florida, but I'm in a new city here, and it's been, COVID. So face-to-face is just starting to ramp back up, and I'm really excited about that. I think so that's been a challenge, but I think it's one that we're coming to, slowly getting out of. And then the other thing is a little bit of a personal development, right? I have been relatively more, I don't know if shy is the right word, or humble around social media and around kind of putting myself out there, my face of, I've always used like a branding that wasn't me. And it, rebranding this because it's so tied to my story, at least for now, I want it to grow and I want it to start being a bigger organization that has other people's stories attached to it. But for now, it's me and it's my story, and it's me connecting with people. There's a bit of a vulnerability there. You have to be okay to say, I'm going to put my face on things. I'm going to put my face on my advertising or my brochure or my, I'm going to do videos. This was a big thing. Doing
You're going to go on a podcast.
Videos for social media. I'm going to do podcasts, right? Yeah. These are things
and stages. Is that part of the plan?
Yeah. Stages are part of the plan. I want to be on more stages. I haven't done anything. I've done a couple of virtual presentations since the Leadership Summit, but I haven't been back on a physical stage. But I want to do both of those things.
And for anyone that doesn't know, the Leadership Summit is about teaching you how to find stages, essentially.
Right.
And there's another one coming up, actually.
That's right, in May, right?
Yeah, in May. A little plug for them real quick.
Plug for Alex and the Purpose Pioneers.
Yeah.
So I think that, those areas, I've been a public speaker my whole life. So once I'm there, once I'm invited and I step on the stage, I'm very, very comfortable on the stage. I started doing theater when I was 3 years old and did that my whole childhood and worked at Disney as a character actor. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm very comfortable on the stage. It's the part about, it's almost like selling myself versus selling, like I've also been in sales. I worked in sales for a number of years, but I was selling a product, right? Or selling a company branding. This is like selling. So this is yourself. A hurdle for you. It is. Okay. It is. It's a challenge for me. It has been fun to push myself and to, I have to get over it, right? This is what I've decided to do, and something I'm really passionate about doing. But that was definitely a challenge for me to like reframe my own mental framing of, you need to put yourself. It's not narcissistic to put yourself out there when what you are offering to people is valuable to them. Like if it resonates with them, and it really has. Interestingly enough, I was just having a conversation. I've had a couple of people contact me out of the blue. Like I've seen your posts. I do a lot of writing. So I've seen your writing, I've seen your posts, and it's really inspiring. And I have a follower in Nepal. I have some followers from across the country that I didn't know that they just saw something. And those little things, little nuggets are the things that like remind me that, okay, I'm doing the right thing, right? That I'm sending the right message. I'm being authentic to myself. I'm not, I don't want to make it the Melanie show. But I do want to put out things that are empowering and positive and authentic to me. So it's been a challenge, but I'm getting there.
Sweet. I'm going to restart these cameras real quick. Realign. That's a fun word. I like alignment.
Alignment, yeah.
It's a trendy word. It's a buzzword. It's one of those buzzwords.
It is.
But I do like it.
Yeah.
It aligns with me.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so I kind of try to stay away from buzzwords, but I also don't care.
Well, sometimes they fit the circumstance, and you can't really deny that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So before we start wrapping this up, is there anything you'd like to promote specifically today?
Long pause.
I love long pauses. It adds drama or adds intensity, suspense. Right. What is she gonna say? What is she gonna say?
I know. I think that the best way to support me would be to find me on social media and sort of engage with some of my writing particularly, and if any of the story interests you or your organization is looking for someone to come in and work with them, give me a call. Let me have a conversation. Let me listen to your needs and see if we're a good fit. That's, growing that network around, particularly here locally around the Colorado area, not just Colorado Springs, but the broader Colorado area is really important to me. I really want to dig in and have roots here. I also, I do have I have two podcasts. One is Dissecting Education, which is all these great education leaders who espouse wisdom. It does not have the wonderful sound quality that this one has, but I'm working on it. I am working on it.
I'm actually upset because, the quality just increased 10 times for you.
Right.
And I was like, man, the whole episode was without it essentially, but that's okay.
It's okay. We're going to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I have any education leaders out there or anyone who is passionate about education that would like to come and have a chat with me about education. My podcast, Dissecting Education, is open for invitations. I have probably about 20 episodes lined up so far. 5 are published.
Nice.
I have about 15 more ready to record, and but then the waiting list is there to get other great educators and people passionate about education. If they're in business, or they volunteer, or they're an active parent or something, even any of those, they all have a perspective, and it's a spherical look at education in 2021.
Nice. Well, sweet. Well, it was great having you on the show.
Thank you so much. A really fun time.
We got to get you on stage at 1 Million Cups.
Yes. I will make it my mission to get brave enough to do that.
Yeah. Okay. All you got to do is apply too. It's very simple. I don't know if you've done it before, but you just go to the website and you apply. Anyone who wants to speak too, who's watching this, maybe that's all you got to do.
Okay.
Just apply, and then they're looking to fill out for 3 months. So they if you want to book, now is a good time because they just started getting back in person.
Right.
So
Perfect.
So I know when I first applied to speak, it was when they had over 100 people at the warehouse, and my application just got lost in the sauce because they had a lot of people coming through too. So there was that.
Right.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a good time now.
It's a good time because it's just ramping back up.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Good to know. That's an insider tip there. I like it.
And puts a little bit of urgency on it too, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
All right, sweet. Well, this has been the COS Business Podcast, the #1 podcast in Colorado Springs, or the best podcast. I don't know what you want to say. I like saying that just because I believe that, but I don't want to make other people who have podcasts feel like, hey, we're the best.
Well, you're the best for me because it's the only one in Colorado Springs I've been on.
Nice, sweet, fantastic. Well, we'll see you guys on the next episode, and bye-bye.